Anyway. Okay. Well, it's 3:30. Welcome. Thanks for being here. So, does anyone in here do writing? You write? You write a little bit? You do some writing? Okay. So, when we do these fairs and we say, hey, I want to speak, and usually it's 2 or 3 months in advance, maybe sometimes more, and you have to submit your topic in terms of what you want to talk about. So, I haven't written anything yet, but I said, okay, this might be a good topic. So this time I said, your intuition is talking, are you listening? I said, that's a good topic. I can get into that. Then if you're a writer, you know that the most important part of the writing process is revision, rewrite. That you want to be able to do that. When you click send 2 months in advance, you can't do that. So as this got closer, I started putting this together. I'm thinking, a good subtitle for your intuition is talking, are you listening, would be, how do you make decisions when the direction isn't clear? I said, okay, that makes sense to me. Because that kind of gets more to the meat of what you want to talk about. But that was a couple days ago. So I said, what might be a good subtitle for that really would be, well, what makes direction unclear? Because that goes to the core, right? We're trying to talk about distinguish our intuition from other things, what makes direction unclear? All right. Let's go with that. But that was before this morning. So this morning, I'm thinking what makes direction unclear? The real question is, what does clear direction feel like? That's how you get to it. Okay, so instead of going through the unclear stuff, let's start with the clear piece. So that's how I kind of came up with this. So I will get to the main topic via the back roads of all my subtopics in terms of what does clear feel like? Okay, so one way I like to talk about that in terms of your intuition is your body doesn't lie to you. Your intuition resides in your body. Your body is your truth machine. It won't tell you, hi. So your body won't tell. I was just discussing how I changed the topic of this 3 or 4 times in the last 48 hours or so, but we're still on topic. So we're talking about how to determine what clarity feels like, because that's really where we go to for our intuition. So the body's a truth machine. It won't tell you everything's okay when it's not. That's our truth machine. So let's start there, okay? What does clear feel like? And a piece of that can be, well, what does yes feel like for me? So I'm going to involve you in all of this. This is a group effort today. So first, I just want you to think about these things as I say them, and just, you don't have to close your eyes if you don't want to, but just kind of go there. And I just want you to think about your favorite color. Just picture it. Think about your favorite color. Now think about a favorite song. She likes hers. Now how about a favorite smell? Now a favorite food. Maybe it's the same as the smell. Now think about a favorite hug. Okay, was everyone able to do that with some or all those? Okay, that's what a yes feels like. When you're unencumbered, when you just get to go there on your own and there's no confusion. I didn't say the favorite color or the favorite, just a one, just anything that feels good. That's what yes feels like, okay? So keep that for future reference, because that's important. Now we can do the same exercise and see what no feels like, but we don't have to. It's not necessary, because we can go there, and I don't want to trigger anybody, including myself, right? Okay, think of those awful. No, we don't have to go there. But you know that no has a different signature than a yes does, but you can feel it, implicitly. You can feel it in your body. So that's where your intuition resides, right? Okay, so let's talk more about what clear feels like, though. Because yes and clear may not always be the same thing. There's some nuance there. So I learned this little technique watching someone live streaming, and they were teaching human design. Anyone familiar with that? I think that's really cool. I actually like that. A lot of that resonates with me. But he was doing this technique that was dealing with the sacral, your sacral chakra. And that is just so key to intuition, because it's so in your body. So I didn't steal it because he was doing it for free. And he says, hey, I'm not a gatekeeper, so I give him his credit. But let's try this to see what clarity feels like, okay? So I'm just going to give you some prompts. They're really easy. And what I want you to do is you can answer either internally or audibly, but if you answer audibly, I don't want you to say yes or no or I don't know. Instead, if it's affirmative, you can just say, mm-hmm. If it's not affirmative, mm-mm, or mm. Okay? All right, so no words. Words get in the way. Words are messy. So, mm-hmm, mm-mm, mm. All right. Okay? All right, we'll have fun. So, are you sitting? Are you standing? Are your feet touching the ground? Are you warm? Are you cold? Are you hungry? Are you tired? Are you thirsty? Are you inside? Okay, all right. How hard was it to answer those? Not hard at all, because you have the clearest point of reference, which is right now, present moment, in your body. All of those are answerable immediately. You didn't have to go anywhere in distance and time and thought. It's all right now in your body. That's what clear feels like. That's what clarity feels like. Am I tired? Am I thirsty? Am I sitting? There's no question. You're not doubting it. Your body's telling you right now what it is. That's what clear feels like. Okay? So everything we talk about, I want you to use that as your point of reference for what clear feels like, what true feels like, because we can distinguish that. It can feel different than yes at times. Yes always feels good. Clear doesn't always feel good. I'm hungry, I'm tired, I'm wet. It's true. It's not really positive, but it's true, and you can answer it in the present moment. Does that make sense? Okay, all right. So there's actually a quote. I was an English teacher once upon a time. Maybe I've mentioned that, but there's a quote from Rumi. Anyone familiar with Rumi? I love Rumi. So one of his quotes that seems to fit here is, "There's a voice that does not use words. Listen." That's your intuition. That's clarity. That's now. That's true. Okay? So we'll keep that. That could have been the title too, now that I think about it. See, if I had another day, I would have renamed this again and just let Rumi do it. Okay? So now we get to move backwards through our little subtopics. The next one was, what makes direction unclear? Now we know what clear is. We started there. We're really done because we know what clear feels like now, but it's not always easy to access it. So what makes things unclear? Well, think of it as like noise. Noise makes things unclear because when you're in your body in the present moment, it's very quiet at that point. Anything that's not like that has a noise signature to it. So one way to think of noise is kind of like we're all in San Diego. Think about June gloom. We haven't seen a sunrise in a while, right? We have May gray, June gloom. So yeah, but we don't doubt that the sun is there. There's just stuff in front of it, okay? That's the same with intuition, with clarity. It exists. There can just be stuff in the way of it. It could be noise. There can be different kinds of noise. What does noise look like? Noise can look like fear. Noise can look like feelings of overwhelm, right? And that's kind of in the way of, I'm tired, I'm thirsty. The easy stuff. Things get in the way to make it a little trickier, okay? So when you're dealing with that, one way to deal with fear, and this isn't a silver bullet, but just kind of a way to determine if fear is present in your decision-making process is, well, what would I do if I wasn't afraid? And see what that brings up for you. What would I do right now if I wasn't afraid? And if fear is present, you can go a bit further and say, well, what am I actually afraid of? And think about our criteria for where clarity is in the present moment in your body, because if there's fear present, it's probably not in the present moment. This might happen. You have to go someplace else, right? The closer you get to here and now, the quieter it is. The further you get from that, the more noise there is. So what would I do if I wasn't afraid? And just see what comes up. Just try that as a thing, to recognize that there's noise going on. And the feelings of overwhelm, there's just so much. What will happen? I just got so much coming up and so forth. The reality is you can only ever do one thing at a time in the present moment. The only question we ever really need to answer is what now? Because that's all we have is right now. And bringing ourselves back to that realization that we can only deal with what's in front of us right now, that deals with the overwhelm. Because overwhelm also takes us out of the present moment. It's all, I gotta do this, then I gotta do this. Not right now, this second, but I got to do this, I got to do this, and what about that? And if she comes and so forth, all that stuff takes you out of that. I'm sitting, I'm tired, I'm hungry. It takes you away from that. So the further you are away from that, just recognize it. Catching it is such a big piece of it. Just realizing that that's what's happening and knowing and remembering what calm feels like is a piece of the puzzle, for sure, okay? When all else fails, breathe, because you can only breathe in the present moment. You can't take a breath for tomorrow, for next week. The breath is in the present moment and it's in your body. And that's our sweet spot, right? That's where clarity is. In the present moment, in our body, breathe. And hey, we just found our clarity. Now, what? Okay? So that's just a way to kind of deal with some of that overwhelm. Okay? Now the original topic, which was your intuition is talking. Are you listening? So remember that. Just remember what we started with. Intuition whispers. Okay, it's the quiet voice that's always there. Or remember Rumi. It may not even be a voice, but we listen anyway. Our body tells us. Our body tells us what's true. Our body tells us what's right. Our body tells us yes or no. It's our actual. If you use pendulums, it's our own pendulum to tell us what the vibe is. So that's our most reliable source. So don't ignore the most reliable source, okay? So listen to the silence. There's always noise, okay? There's a lot of things that take us out of the present moment. You know, our superpower is recognizing that and realizing that we always come back to the present moment. That's where we want to be. That's where the answer can always reside, in the present moment, okay? Right? Burning through my notes, I won't forget anything, okay? It can also just be synchronicities, though. Sometimes when we talk about intuition, we're thinking about, well, there's this voice I can't hear, I can't listen. It's not always going to be a voice. It's going to be more of a feeling. It could be synchronicities, things that just pop up that you notice. And that's a big piece of it, is noticing. Some people think it takes so much effort to go out and find things. Sometimes it's the opposite of that. It's just releasing the effort and just noticing what's already there. And we like to call those synchronicities or disruptors. So, for example, if I said, I'll give everybody $100 for every picture of a unique purple object that you find in the next 10 minutes, you will find every purple object in this building. There aren't suddenly more, right? When I said the words, they didn't show up. They're there already. You would just notice them with the intent, with the allowing that I want to see purple stuff. I'm going to find it, okay? It's already there. It's just a system of intention. You can do that with guidance as well. Just set the intention, okay, what am I supposed to be doing now, okay? And see what you notice. See how you're being guided, okay? It's not magic. It doesn't require an external piece. Just notice what comes up. That's a big piece of this, okay? Notice and allow. Sometimes we want to work so hard because we feel like it's supposed to. If it's something important or something we really want, it should take a lot of effort. That's just how we kind of condition ourselves sometimes. That's not always the case. I'm not saying don't work hard, so I don't want letters from your boss saying, my employee went to your session, says he doesn't have to do anything. It's not quite that. But, well, I was a labor guy too, so I'll talk to your boss. I'll talk to you. but it's more entering the realm of allowing, realizing that it's already there. June gloom, the sun is still there, okay? There's noise there. Just allowing what already is there to unfold and to notice it like that. So I preach do less, not more, to get to the answer, because sometimes we just have to notice the answer that's already there. Okay, so I had a circumstance within the last 2 years that kind of tied all these things together. This example of how we can have noise interrupting our intuition. All this noise can kind of get in the way of clear answers. I went to Target. I live in North Park. There's a little Target there. So I parked in the parking lot at Target. I was going to go in. It's around the holidays. And as soon as I got out of my car, I noticed there was a ruckus happening, maybe 10 yards away. There are two guys kind of going at it. I hear, rah, 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 rah. There's a big guy and a smaller guy. And a couple of women were standing there. One was on the phone. And Target's over here. So here's the ruckus, and here's Target, and here's Leon. Man. They're kind of loud. They sound angry. That guy's kind of big. And I don't think anyone sees me yet. Can I make it to Target without anyone thinking I'm slinking away from my responsibility? Well, should I do? Well, it's not my responsibility. I don't know what's going on. This is all going on in my head, right? Okay, noise, June gloom, it's all going on. Then at some point, the smaller guy yells, help. And for me, that's a trigger. Help. That cut through everything. I think I just started walking like immediately, but what happened was the clouds lifted, all the noise went away, all the that was all gone, and I got a really, really clear, intuitive message about what was going on. First, I realized there's more fear there than anger, okay? They don't really want to be doing this. This got out of hand. They would love it if somebody would intervene. This is all when I'm walking over there. This is all coming to me. That information was already there. From the time I got out of my car, waffling, trying to sneak into Target, it was already there, but I was listening to the noise instead. When the noise went away, it was crystal clear. So when I got up to them, my other iteration, I used to be a boxing referee too, so I'll just give you my whole resume. Okay. I used to be a dishwasher before that, but it's not relevant, not relevant. So I went into my boxing referee's post, got between them. The bigger guy kind of stepped back, and the little guy, of course, guys being guys, let me at him, hold me back. I said, yeah, right, okay. But what I told him, I said, okay, you're safe. For some reason, that was what I was supposed to say, that you're safe. So I kind of wrapped around the smaller guy, and the big guy kind of backed off and put the smaller guy in his van, and the big guy went off with his girlfriend. That's one of the women there. And I had, even thinking about it, I had some adrenaline going on like that, but it was just like so clear. It became so clear after help came and all the noise went away. It was like really, really easy to discern what was happening, what's going on. And that's how it is for a lot of us in life. In a lot of circumstances, we're listening to the noise, which is easy to do because there is a lot of noise. None of this is to say that when you walk out of here, you'll never hear the noise again, because we're living in carbon sacks for a while. There's going to be noise. There's going to be interference. But knowing the difference and knowing what that calm place feels like. So I had zero fear sliding between these guys because I had already known that they don't really want to do this. They're looking for that. If I didn't have that clarity or knowledge, that would have been pretty scary, because one guy was pretty big. I'm not a big guy. This guy was a big, but there was more fear on their part than there was anger. So that made sense, okay? So kind of keep that in mind when you're in that decision-making space, okay? How do you make decisions when the direction isn't clear? First, we remember what clarity feels like. And that clarity can be found in the present moment, not in a negative fantasy about what might happen or what happened before, so forth, but in the present moment, and our bodies will tell us. So if you need a cheat code to get there, breathe. As soon as you breathe, you're in the present moment and you're in your body, where your intuition is, where clarity is, where the answer is. The closer you stay to that, the more clear things are, okay? Does that make sense? Does that bring up any questions for anybody? Or anyone have like a similar experience? Anyone else get into a fight in a parking lot at Target? I can offer my services if that's it. Okay. All right. Yeah, so that's the end of my prepared comments, but I'm a teacher, so I do my lesson plans. But I did just want to reiterate that point about how accessible it is. It's not magic. You don't need to go to a clairvoyant or psychic or anyone. I mean, this isn't a great business model for me, perhaps, saying it. but the truth is, I mean, that's kind of what I do in my work anyway. Is this? Is that, okay? You have access to the information yourself. Okay, so work with how to do that. So yeah.
My question is,
Sure.
yes, follow your intuition, and the more you practice steadying your mind and focusing in on the present moment, you're going to have more clarity.
Yes.
But there's so many times when your heart can be pulled in multiple different directions,
Yeah.
or even two different directions.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
to really hone in on what is the right move. It
Yeah.
could be the wrong move, but
Right.
it's so hard to fight yourself on this.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. That's part of that overwhelm, like what should I do and so forth. Okay, but the rules are kind of the same. You bring it back to the clear space as much as you can. And sometimes, shouldn't say this in intuitive speech, your intuition can be off, right? It feels right, but maybe it doesn't work out the way you want it to. But I'll say this as a proviso: sometimes things aren't supposed to work out the way you want them to or think they should. I've had some of my best successes after failures, after having doors slammed in my face, when I knew that should have been for me, I knew that should have happened and so forth, I knew it, bam, how can I be so off? And then, oh, this. So yeah, so you have to have a focal point to trust, though, right?
There's a quote, fail with enthusiasm.
There you go. I love that. I love that. And some people make that an art form. Absolutely. Myself, I'm telling on myself. My next talk's gonna be my failures. I'll probably change the title 10 times before we get here, but it'll be that. But no, thank you for that. And that's the thing. Give yourself some grace on that idea also. We strive for presence, not perfection, okay? Perfection is an unreal standard, so presence. You get there, you make the best decision you can that you feel. You can't do anything more than that. We're not in control of anything outside of that, right? And that's a tough lesson for some folks too, is getting outside of that. Yeah, hi.
I'm sorry to bother you. I left my
I know you left your glasses. I was gonna bring them to you. You wanna come up here? You'll be in my video, but that's okay. All right? Okay, very good. This was a dual effort, so yeah. All right, sir. Okay, so thank you for that. Don't go for like silver bullets or this is the one answer for absolutely everything. That doesn't really exist. Sorry, it doesn't. But how can we do better with what we have, right? How can we give ourselves the best opportunity? The closer you are to the present moment in your body, the better you're going to be in terms of what feels right. And if you did what feels right, what more can you do? What more can you do? Okay? Is this thing buzzing at me? Yes, it's buzzing at me. Any questions on that? Thank you for that question, by the way. Okay. Oh, sure. Okay. Yes.
If your truth lies in your intuition,
Yeah.
does your destiny lie within your truth?
Interesting. So your destiny, like,
Do you believe does the destiny, if the truth is within the intuition,
yeah.
does the destiny live within the truth?
Right. So the destiny is going to be revealed moment by moment. In the present moment, it's going to be revealed. The destiny where you're supposed to be 100 years from now starts right now in the present moment. I think the rules apply. It's still in the present moment where your truth is. Always there. Yeah. I think that's a great question. Thanks. Okay. Anything else? Yes, please.
Just a comment.
Yeah.
My big takeaway is just you're bringing it back to the present moment. I think when you're in that moment and you're observing versus like feeling the overwhelmed or just not aware. It's very easy to kind of have the gray clouds come in.
Yeah.
I really like that analogy as a visual.
Oh, good.
And help us just picture that.
Oh, good.
Something tangible. But yeah, I think it's always a good reminder to be present.
Yeah.
Because there's so much clarity that can come from that.
Oh, good. Yeah. And again, allow yourself grace for those moments when you're feeling the fear or the overwhelm, so forth. I mean, that's natural, that's human, so forth. So it's not like you're doing something wrong. Just now maybe you have an additional tool to work with in those moments. Not that those moments go away, but now maybe an additional little thing you can do when you're in those moments. So yeah. Okay. Yes.
So I love the tool of breathing to come back into the present moment.
Yeah.
And the question of even asking, like, what would I do if I wasn't afraid? Like, to get clear on if it's fear or not.
Yeah.
But are there any ways to, even when you ask the question, like, what would I do if I wasn't afraid? And you're like, oh, I would do it. But it's like, but I am afraid.
Okay. Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah.
know, like,
Yeah.
I'm sure you know the difference, but like, are there any tools to like lean into?
Right. Yeah. So just recognizing that fear is present is the thing. That doesn't mean it's bad or that means you should do something different even really. But if that happens, you might do a deeper dive. What am I really afraid of? Because fear can be so broad you don't even really know. You just know you feel it and don't want to do it. But if you say, what would I do if I wasn't afraid? Okay, I'd do something different. So what am I afraid of? And break that down. If it's a real threat, then that's your intuition working because there's danger, right? So that's a good thing. If there isn't, and you're going pretty far away from the present moment and pretty far to find a justification for being, then think about that. And just think about that. Okay? Yeah. All right? Okay. They're being nice so far. As they come in, they say, okay, you about done, dude? Yeah, I'm about done. So thank you so much for coming here. And yeah, thank you. Thank you. All right? Good. And I have a booth if you want to say hi. I'm Leon. I didn't even introduce myself. I'm Leon. I'm Leon Shoemake. I'm a spiritual intuitive coach. I'm looking here to say, thank Thank you. 2 shows a night. 2 shows a night. All right. Thank you so much. All right. All right.